Hi, and welcome to another episode of Sub2 Creative Real Estate Stories. I'm Mateo, your host, and today I have a wonderful guest who is a Gator, and his name is Sean. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Sean, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're at, and what your history is.
Sure. I grew up in Minnesota. I went to school out in University of Denver. I studied real estate there. I got an undergrad, master's there, and I have been a land investor. That's been my main jump into real estate since I left school. I started a land investing company about 4 or 5 years back now, and I have done a number of transactions, both vacant, rural, and vacant infill lots. So in between there, I've worked for a few different companies. I was doing acquisitions for a single-family home buyer. I was also helping underwrite multifamily, helping underwrite another group with industrial. So at school, I got to know the numbers and I got to understand what is a deal and what isn't pretty quickly. So I've been trying to jump in a few different avenues and understand how to put deals together in different asset classes.
It sounds like you've gotten a little bit of an advantage to some people that are just joining, but it sounds like fun what you're doing. How did you discover PACE and the community?
Sure. I was looking further into single family, and he naturally comes up on any sort of SEO or social media that you are looking to do any sort of creative deal. I saw that interest rates rose. I saw that, getting a mortgage as an entrepreneur, I don't have a W-2. I am pretty much a solo entrepreneur, and, getting a conventional mortgage is a little bit trickier than, having it backed by income from a W-2 job. So naturally I followed him. He said he was taking down creative deals in multifamily, single family. And I was like, okay, I got to see, how does the paperwork work? How does he actually, make sure that this is a deal? And, he seems to be the master in the space. At least he markets himself as so. And now that I'm in his community, I definitely believe it.
Yeah, you're like me as a business owner. We've been defined as penalty buy boxers
Yep,
and penalty
exactly.
box buyers.
Yep,
Messed that
yep.
up, but that's all right. So, um, what was it that made you decide to join, other than he was talking about the things that you're interested in? Was there any particular moment or time that you're like, yes, I have to do this?
I got really interested when he started talking about subject to, because he's one of the first guys I've ever heard talk about buying a mortgage or buying a home subject to the existing mortgage. And I was like, man, if you can get a mortgage that's at 2, 3, 4%, because, record interest rate lows in the last few years, and now you have that home, cash flowing, you have that existing debt for 30 years. And I was like, wow, if you can actually get in control of a home or a multifamily building that way, there's huge power and huge opportunity going forward. So that's why I jumped in
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
had to hear what he
absolutely. With
had to
the
say.
changing market conditions, it's a good place to be. Speaking of being in the community and a Gator, have you had any success locking down any transactions as a Gator?
So I really joined the Gator community as a way to understand how to raise capital. I wanted to understand all the different ways that it is. You can do it through private, you can do it through hard money lending, you can do it properly by bringing it to the title company. I admittedly have raised money before where, I have some investors that see the deals that I'm doing. I'm like, just wire me over some funds, and, I'll put you in some deals, and we'll just go from there. And I'll show you all the statements of, opening and closing of each of these deals. And they're like, yeah, okay. But I realize that now that I have to, buy bigger deals and buy homes, that these should be actually secured by liens on the buildings to make investors feel secure, especially when they're cash flowing assets like this. So my goal is to really understand how that process works, and, where I go with actually raising funds correctly.
Well, it sounds like the training is working for you, and you've already walked away with a few nuggets. How would you describe the training itself as well as the community?
I'm blown away with the amount of people that have been open to helping. There's the Facebook group, and anyone that is, interested in helping you get a transaction done, whether it be subject to or whether it be other gators connecting you to other private money lenders. I was When I was on the outside of the community, I was like, man, how do you really get a hold of these private money lenders in the area that you're investing in? Now that I've come into the community, it's like, well, now I can just, see who in the group is in that area, and I'm sure they have some connections. And if not, post something in the Facebook group. And I think I've seen at least people flood to different deals that people have posted. So it's super powerful in that way.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's an amazing community, and if you don't know the answer to some particular question, it's really easy to find with the community, and that is just value in itself. Now, I know that you're just getting started, but have you had any success story that you can share with us? And if not, are you still gearing up for that big win? Can you tell us about that in your game plan?
In regards to Gator, are we talking?
Yeah, more specifically, but obviously, given your background, I'm sure that you've had tremendous success. How has Gator influenced how you're changing your strategy?
Sure, sure. I would say Gator is influencing me to go and buy cash flowing assets rather than just continuing to flip. It's kind of opened my eyes to the fact that I'm able to raise money, that I'm able to structure it correctly. And those were kind of the misnomers or the misconceptions I had about the whole industry, is how hard it was to go and raise funds and buy some deals with other people's money, and how to structure all that. So I would say that going forward is what has opened my eyes the most. And my game plan going forward is to, push more into multifamily and single family um, acquisitions rather than continuing to flip my way forward with all these land transactions and pay all these capital gains, right?
Right. So, given your experience, and now you're moving into Gator, and it's been able to kind of fill the gaps of your knowledge and maybe even dismiss some of those barriers that you put out there. Obviously, that's a mindset thing, right? But
Sure.
um, from your experience, and for those just starting out, do you have any recommendations based on what you have gone through?
Um, as far as getting into Gator or different communities, or as far as just general suggestions about real estate.
It's your
My
answer.
floor, is
So,
it? Okay. Um, I would definitely say join a community as you get into real estate, because there's a lot of books out there, and man, I've read a lot of books. I've gotten formal education. Formal education, although it be rare in the traditional system, is a lot of theory, and actually being in part of a group that is doing deals and can answer questions on a case by case basis, I think is probably the most powerful thing within real estate.
now I know that a lot of people say when they join Pace's community, they're overwhelmed by the training. Did you have that same experience, or do you
Yeah,
have tips
no,
on how to handle that?
no, absolutely. I definitely had some shiny object syndrome as I joined the group, because like, man, I could, go connect with this group of people or that group of people, and I kind of had to narrow my focus back down to, Sean, what's been working for you. Use this knowledge to help it work for you in a more streamlined way and to make things easier on you. I do want to get into connecting people. As far as, I know a lot of people in the land community that are always looking for funds, because we're always double closing on deals, or actually, putting money down for 3 to 6 months at a time. So I think I can definitely take some of the knowledge that I've gained here in this community, and help that community. Um, so I hope to bring those golden nuggets to other communities as well.
Yeah. Now, I know that we're short on time, but I do have a few more questions. Hopefully, we can kind of speed answer. But
Sure.
what has been a challenge that you've overcome?
A challenge that I've overcome. Um, well, I bought a property one time on the side of a mountain. I had to overcome that challenge. if we want to talk pretty specifically, I bought a swamp in Florida before. These are
But
all very specific examples of
yeah,
challenges that are very hard to overcome. But
why
um,
is that for someone who doesn't understand what it means to buy a house on a mountain or in the swamp?
sure, I mean, every piece of land is very different. It's very you know based. I price on zip code and I price on county. And, there's a lot of there's lakefront property, there's farmland, there's, treed forest land. And then there's just, half of the property may be under swamp or wetland. So I learned very early on that I got to really do my due diligence. And I didn't have all the tools to do that right away. And I kind of got caught a few times. It ended up working out. And, I've still never lost on a land deal, which I think is incredible. But it sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you think it might because you didn't do all your research up front. And in the instance that I bought this mountainside in Colorado, that I didn't look at the actual topography on the map, and I bought this swamp in Florida when I was looking at the wrong mapping system. Should have double checked the other FEMA mapping system. That one that actually works in that county. So um, those are probably two very specific
Yeah.
instances.
Well, I'll have to have you back on the show and we can have a discussion on your due diligence. It sounds like you've really formulated a good process, and I think that would be very helpful to know,
Sure.
regardless if it's land or a property on a piece of land. But it sounds like you've figured that out, and that could be, for me, I think that's interesting. So, if you're open to that, we'll have you back on
Happy
the
to.
show.
Happy to.
Cool. So, last question. Well, not necessarily last question, but more specifically to your real estate and what you're trying to do. Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
I see myself within real estate staying on the land side because I've gone away from the business a few times and realized, Sean, you've gotten pretty good at this. You've worked on it for 4 years.
Mhm.
Just continue working on it and continue, working on your skills and don't really give up on it as much as I have a shiny object syndrome and I just want to go into buying homes and multifamily. Like stay with what you know, Sean, and that's I would say the one thing I'd tell myself. But I also do have other aspirations and um, understanding land entitlements, understanding how to subdivide, understanding how to buy more infill lots where you might be selling them to home builders rather than people looking to go put their RV out there or build a campsite or cabin sort of thing. So
Oh,
there's so many different avenues within land that I really have interest in learning on. But I would say, a mix between that and going into multifamily, which I was working on in the past, would be my two aspirations going forward.
great. It sounds like an exciting journey.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more about it. Okay, so before we let you go, how can the Sub2 community, the Gator community, and listeners of this show support you in your business endeavors?
If you're in the land business, I would obviously love to connect. I love to connect with people on my podcast. I have a podcast that I've been taking guests on. I'm looking for more people that are in the Sub2 community. I have interest in learning about, uh, I haven't done the Sub2 education yet, so I would love to have some more conversations with people regarding that. But people can reach me at seanmostrom.com at any point, and there's my contact information there.
Fantastic. Well, it's been great chatting with you. We'll have to have you back on the show, and we'll have to dig deeper into some of those concepts.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me, Mateo. I really appreciate your time. It was a great chat.
Yeah, thank you.